Most people think urban legends are just stories, creepy tales told at night to scare friends or entertain kids. But what if some of those stories weren't just stories? What if some of the most terrifying urban legends actually turned out to be true? For decades, people have shared strange rumors, stories about mysterious places, hidden experiments, cursed objects, and strange creatures lurking where they shouldn't be. Most of us assume these stories are exaggerated or completely fake. After all, that's what urban legends are supposed to be, fiction mixed with fear. But every once in a while, something strange happens. A story that everyone dismissed as impossible suddenly becomes real. Evidence appears, witnesses come forward, and suddenly the legend doesn't feel like a legend anymore. It feels like a warning. Urban legends usually start small. One person hears something unusual, they tell a friend, the friend tells someone else. Over time, the story grows. Details change, new parts get added, and eventually the original truth disappears beneath layers of exaggeration. That's why most urban legends are easy to dismiss. But sometimes investigators, historians, or scientists dig deeper and discover something surprising hiding behind the myth. Take the story of the body under the hotel bed. For years, this was told as a disturbing joke. The legend goes like this. A couple checks into a cheap hotel room. Everything seems normal at first, but there's a terrible smell in the room. They complain to the front desk, but the staff assumes it's just bad plumbing or old carpets. The couple stays the night anyway. The next day, the smell gets worse. Finally, someone checks under the mattress and discovers a dead body hidden inside the bed frame. It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, but the disturbing part is that this exact scenario has happened multiple times in real life. Police reports from several countries have documented cases where bodies were discovered hidden inside hotel beds, sometimes days after guests had already slept in the room without knowing. Another famous urban legend involves mysterious government experiments. Many people have heard stories about secret projects where scientists tested strange technologies or psychological experiments on unsuspecting people. For a long time, these stories sounded like conspiracy theories, but history revealed something shocking. During the Cold War, several governments actually conducted secret experiments on citizens without their knowledge. One of the most well-known examples was a program where intelligence agencies secretly tested mind-altering drugs to study human behavior. People were unknowingly given substances in bars, hospitals, and even workplaces. The goal was to see how these chemicals affected decision-making and interrogation resistance. Decades later, official documents confirmed that these experiments were real. Then there's the chilling legend of the blackout killer. The story was often told as a warning. A person wakes up after a night out with no memory of what happened. Everything seems normal at first until police arrive at their door. Slowly, the truth emerges. During the blackout, the person committed a serious crime and has no recollection of it. For years, this sounded like something made up for dramatic television, but psychologists and criminal investigators have confirmed cases where extreme intoxication caused individuals to perform complex actions they later had absolutely no memory of. Another urban legend that turned out to have truth behind it involves strange sounds coming from the sky. For years, people around the world reported hearing deep metallic noises echoing through cities or rural areas. Witnesses described them as giant horns, grinding metal, or distant machinery rumbling across the sky. Many dismissed these reports as hoaxes or imagination, but recordings began appearing online from different countries. Scientists eventually started investigating. In several cases, researchers discovered that certain atmospheric conditions can carry industrial sounds, earthquakes, or even shifting ice over extremely long distances. These sounds can become distorted as they travel through the atmosphere, creating eerie noises that seem to come from nowhere. Perhaps one of the most disturbing legends involves hidden cameras in private spaces. The rumor claimed that criminals were secretly installing cameras inside hotel rooms, bathrooms, or rental homes to spy on guests. For a long time, people treated this as paranoia. But in recent years, authorities in multiple countries have uncovered networks of hidden cameras placed in everyday locations. Some were hidden inside smoke detectors, electrical outlets, alarm clocks, or even air vents. Investigations revealed that criminals were secretly streaming private footage online without victims knowing.
Then there are legends about mysterious creatures seen in remote places. Stories about strange animals are common in folklore, but occasionally scientists discovered that a creature people once thought was mythical actually exists. A famous example is the giant squid. For centuries, sailors told stories about enormous tentacled monsters attacking ships. Scientists laughed at these stories and assumed they were exaggerations. But in the early 2000s, researchers finally captured clear footage of a giant squid alive in the deep ocean. It turned out the sailors had been telling the truth all along. Another unsettling legend involves abandoned towns that suddenly became dangerous to enter. Some stories describe entire areas where strange illnesses or unexplained deaths occurred. While many of these tales were exaggerated, some had a real scientific explanation. Certain locations were contaminated by toxic chemicals, radiation, or dangerous pathogens. People who entered these places without protection sometimes became seriously ill. What started as rumors about cursed towns were later revealed to be environmental disasters hidden from the public. The surprising thing about urban legends is not that they exist. Humans have always told strange stories. The surprising part is how often a small piece of truth hides inside them. A strange event happens. People try to explain it. The story spreads. Details change. And eventually, the legend grows far beyond the original event. But if someone looks closely enough, they sometimes find evidence that the core of the story was real. This reveals something interesting about human psychology. Urban legends survive because they tap into our deepest fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of hidden dangers, fear that something terrible could be happening just out of sight. When a legend turns out to be true, it reminds us that the world is more complicated than we think. Not everything strange is imaginary. History shows that many unbelievable things eventually become accepted facts. Secret experiments, unknown species, hidden crimes, mysterious sounds, and strange discoveries have all moved from rumor to reality. And that raises an uncomfortable question. If some urban legends turned out to be true, how many others are we dismissing today? Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is probably experiencing something strange, something they can't explain. They might tell their friends about it. Most people will laugh and assume it's just another scary story. But years from now, investigators might uncover evidence that proves the story was real all along. And that's what makes urban legends so fascinating. They live in the space between imagination and reality. Most of them are just stories, but every once in a while, one of those stories turns out to be true. And when that happens, it reminds us that the line between myth and reality is sometimes much thinner than we think.